नमस्कार, आदाब, सत श्री अकाल दोस्तों। स्वागत है आपका एक बार फिर से हमारे YouTube चैनल ब्रास फ्यूजन्स पर, जहां हम आपके लिए एक बार फिर से लेकर आए हैं एक नया लेसन।
And I'm going to do a recap of the arguments that we have done. And the case was Kanwarjeet Singh Kakkar versus State of Punjab. Now, in this case, just let me wear the headphones. Just wait. All right, guys. In this case, I told you the basic issue that was dealt was that if there is a government doctor, there was basically this an FIR was lodged against two government doctors because they were employed with the state Punjab in the hospital, and after the duty hours, that is at 6 o'clock, they were practicing in their clinic, and in fact they were doing a private practice, and they were charging ₹100 from all the people who consulted them, right? So there was a case, there was a FIR that was filed against them, and that was under section 13(1)(d), read with section 13 clause 2. Section 13 clause 2 is the punishment clause, right? And also read section 168 of IPC, which deals with the offences by the public servant if they are indulging in any kind of trade, right? In this case, the contention that was taken by the appellant, they went to the court, Punjab and Haryana court, asking for a relief, and the relief that they claimed was that the FIR should be quashed because what we are doing as doctors, we are treating the patient, and it is on a humanitarian grounds, and there is no reason for us to be prosecuted under Prevention of Corruption Act for that. And it is only on humanitarian service that we're doing. Now, another contention which they have put forward was that, look, even if you say that we have violated any condition of service, because there is Rule 15 in the service rule for medical service rules of Punjab and Haryana state, and that is that if Punjab and Haryana, Punjab service rules, medical service rules, and Rule 15 says that if there is any person who wants to do a private practice, he can, but only with the permission of the court, only with the permission of the government, and the government wants, they can take away this permission whenever they feel like. That it is kind of interfering with the discharging of the official duties, right? Now, this person said, even if I am doing a private practice and it is violation, then in that case also I can be held liable as a violation to a misconduct or a violation of service rules, but in no way I should be liable for the under Prevention of Corruption Act section 13, because there is no corrupt practice, there is no unlawful gratification that I am getting. What I am getting is just the fees, right? Now, they also went to say, but the single judge of Punjab and Haryana court did not agree it and refused to quash the FIR. So, an appeal filed, so the application was moved to the Supreme Court. Now, the issue before the court was justice should quash this FIR under Section 108 of IPC and Section 13 Clause 1 Clause D, read with Section 13 Clause 2 of Prevention of Corruption Act. In this case, also the court said the argument put forward by the accused was that, look, when we talk about corruption and Prevention of Corruption Act, this basically deals with illegal gratification that has been taken, any kind of illegal demand that you make for doing an official act, that would come under the definition of corruption. So we are not doing that. What we're doing is we are just rendering services and we're taking a fees for it, which is basically a professional fees that is being charged, and there is no unlawful gratification or illegal gratification or corruption that is being done in discharge of our official functions, right? However, the state government contended that this is definitely a case of corrupt practices, and the reason being that there is Rule 15. Rule 15 very, very specifically prohibits that no person can indulge in private practice until and unless he's got permission from the state government, and in this case, these doctors were not having the state permission. So it does amount to an act which is illegal. So the act was illegal, so this amounts to corruption. Now, again, the contention on the part of the appellant in this case was that as far as Section 168 of IPC is concerned, it deals with, it prohibits trade, which is done by a public servant. So if any trade is done by the public servant, that is not allowed. In this case, the person said trade means anything which is done for the purpose of making profit. Now, when we are treating the patients, when we are prescribing medicines to the patients, or basically there were two doctors involved. One used to check the BP and other used to prescribe medicines on the paper. Right? That's what they used to do. And they used to charge ₹100 for that. And a raid was done on their office and this BP machine, etc. was also recovered. Right? Now, this person said, first of all, the appellate said that this cannot amount to a trade because there is no profiteering that we are doing. We are just accepting fees. Yes, we are, but that is not trade. That is a fees that we get for our professional services, and there is no profiteering as such. Also, they cited an order which was given by the Punjab government only to its vigilance department. And what was the order? That earlier there was a case which was instituted against the government teachers who were taking private tuition. And they were charging fees for these private tuitions. After the school hours, they were taking these private tuitions. And the Prevention of Corruption Act cases under Section 13 were filed against these teachers also. So the Punjab government, what did it do? The Punjab government itself withdrew these charges and it said that all the proceedings against these teachers should be, stopped and set aside, and it should not be done. So that's what the order said. So, and the reason why Punjab government did was that they felt that when a teacher is holding tuition classes, then and when they are demanding a fees, it is basically a professional charge that is there, and it does not amount to corruption. So it cannot be treated under Prevention of Corruption Act. So these doctors said that same principle should be applied in our case also when we are looking at the patients and we are prescribing their medicines and charging ₹100. This is again a professional fee, and it should not come under the definition of illegal gratification or illegal, unlawful kind of benefit that we have taken from the patients. Right? So these were the arguments on both the sides. Are the arguments clear? Should I move on to the decision, class?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So these arguments are done in the last class also. The decision part was left. So what was the court's decision? See, in this case, the Supreme Court said that, look, when we look at the definition of corruption as it has been given in Section 7 of the Act, we say corruption is basically acceptance or demand of illegal gratification for doing an official act. Then we'll come to Section 17. Section 17 strictly is not mentioned as selective, but I think it is a very relevant provision, and especially with respect to the amendment which has come in Section 17 in 2018. This section becomes very, very relevant, so I feel we should be doing it. It basically deals with power of the police officer to investigate the case and in what conditions they'll be able to investigate the case. That's what it talks about. Let me open the amendment part. Wait. All right. Now it says, sorry, not Section 7, Section 17 I was referring to. Okay. Section 17 talks about person who are authorized to investigate. It reads, notwithstanding anything contained in the Code of Criminal Procedure, no police officer below the rank of, in the case of Delhi Special Police Establishment, Inspector of Police, in metropolitan areas of Bombay, Calcutta, Madras, Ahmedabad, and any other metropolitan area as notified under subsection 1 of Section 8, Assistant Commissioner of Police, and elsewhere of the Deputy Superintendent of Police or the police officer of the equivalent rank, shall investigate any offence punishable under this Act without the order of the Metropolitan Magistrate or a magistrate of the first class as the case may be, or make any arrest thereof without a warrant. Okay? Which basically means what? That if there is an offence which needs to be investigated, then in such case, this investigation will not be done without the order of the Metropolitan Magistrate of the first class, right? So you need a permission to investigate or to make arrest without a warrant. Lekin there is a proviso to it. What does proviso says? Provided that if the police officer not below the rank of the inspector of the police is authorized by the state government in this behalf by general or special order, he may also investigate any such offence without the order of the Metropolitan Magistrate or the Magistrate of the First Class, as the case may be, or make the arrest thereof without a warrant. So if there is a police officer, he has been specially empowered in this behalf, then in that case, he can investigate the case without the order, and he can also arrest without the warrant, right? Provided further that an offence relating to Section 13 shall not be investigated without the order of the police officer, not below the rank of SP. Now that's fine. Now what I wanted to draw your attention was towards Section 17A. Alright, we have Section 17A which has been added, which says no police officer shall conduct any inquiry or inquire or investigate into any offence alleged to have been committed by the public servant under this Act, where the alleged offence is relatable to any recommendations made or decisions taken by such public servant in discharge of his official functions or duties without the previous approval of. See, this basically puts a bar on the power of the police officer to do inquiry or investigate into an offence with respect to the matters which relate to decisions which are taken by the public servant in discharge of their public duties. So it requires for previous sanctions to be taken. Now, previous sanctions means previous permissions have to be taken before the police is going to start the investigation. And this previous sanction or this permission has to be taken from whom? In case a person is employed with the state government, then the permission has to be taken from the state government. In case the person is employed with the central government, the permission has to be taken by from the central government, right? And but there is a proviso, and in case there is any other person, then permission has to be taken from the authority which have the power to remove that person from the post. So such sanctions have to be taken, provided that no such approval will be necessary for the cases in list of a person on the spot, on the charge, accepting or attempting to accept any undue advantage for himself or for any other person. Provided further, the concerned authority shall convey its decision under this section within a period of 3 months, which may, for reasons to be recorded in writing by the authority, be extended by a further period of 1 month. So what does this mean? What it actually means is that before the police can investigate a case which relates to a matter where a decision has been taken by the public servant in his official capacity, permission, prior sanctions or prior permission for the investigation also needs to be taken. And this prior permission or sanction needs to be taken from whom? This prior permission has to be taken from the state government or the central government. However, if there is a person who is caught red-handed on the spot, so for example, the person was caught accepting the bribe. I've told you about the trap cases. What are the trap cases? Where there is a person who is a bribe is asked from that person, and that person approaches the competent authority and tells, look, this public officer is asking for a bribe from me. So they will say, okay, you go ahead, give the bribe, and what we're going to do is that as and when possible, when you go to give the bribe, we're going to catch this person red-handed, right? So in such cases, approval is not required for investigating the case. Fine. Where a person is caught red-handed. Now, also a time frame has been given to the government to either give the approval or not to give the approval. It's not that they'll keep on sitting with this matter for years and years. So time limit has been given that within the period of 3 months, the state government has to give or not to give this permission, right? And this period of 3 months can be extended to a maximum of 1 month and not beyond that, right? Which means maximum of 4 months, the state government has to give permission. Now, similar provision we have in Section 19, and I'll talk about it more elaborately when I do it in 19, that why do we have this provision of previous sanctions? Why was it necessary to have the provision of previous sanctions? Before that, one provision is coming in front of me, and I feel it is very important, so I think I should do it. And that is Section 18, capital A, which has been added by the 2018 amendment. And what does it say? It says, It basically is a provision for attachment of property and for confiscation of the property. This provision was there in the Criminal Law Amendment Ordinance of 1944. If you remember, when I gave you the history of origin of the Anti-Corruption Act, this Prevention of Corruption Act, I told you that initially there was an ordinance of Criminal Law Amendment Ordinance of 1944. That was a wartime legislation that was there, right? So if that had a provision that any income that you earn from the corrupt practices or for illegal purpose by using your official position, you earn these things, then that property can be taken away from you. That is the provision that has been made. So this provision has been included in this 2018 amendment also, that any property a person earns by corrupt practices, that property can be attached and that property can be confiscated also, right? That's what 18 capital A has to say. Now 19 is extremely important topic. 19 basically talks about the previous sanctions that needs to be taken in case you want to convict any, for the purpose of for the court to take cognizance of an offense. Let me read 19, just give me a moment. All right. What does Section 19 say? Section 19 reads that no court shall take cognizance of the offence which is punishable under Section 7, 10, 11, 15 alleged to have been committed by a public servant except with the previous sanction. Which means this is a bar which is put on the courts, on the power of the court, that the courts will not take cognizance of a case under these relating to offences against a public servant until and unless a sanction has been taken by whom? From whom? A permission has been taken from whom? In the
Ma'am, I am audible, ma'am.
of the person who are employed in connection with the affairs of the union, the permission has to be taken from the central government. In case of people who are employed with the state services, permission has to be taken by the state government, right? In case of any other person, the permission has to be taken from. You're audible. Tell me. I'm not audible.
Ma'am, now you
Am I
are.
not audible, class?
Now
Can you
you
hear me? Tell me, please. Can you hear me or not?
दोस्तों, अगर आपको आज का लेसन पसंद आया हो तो वीडियो को लाइक करें। इसी के साथ अगर आपने अभी तक हमारा चैनल सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया है तो सब्सक्राइब के बटन पर क्लिक करिए और बेल आइकन दबाना ना भूलें, ताकि आपको एजुकेशन से रिलेटेड नए नए अपडेट्स मिलते रहें। और अधिक जानकारी पाने के लिए आप हमारे फेसबुक और इंस्टाग्राम पेज से भी जुड़ सकते हैं, जिसका लिंक डिस्क्रिप्शन बॉक्स में दिया गया है। धन्यवाद।